Hello, Paul James speaking. It's July 1st, 12:05 in the morning. I thought I would do it right as the day turns. I've been on 15 days hunger strike. I'm now on total starvation. Prior to this I was on 500 to 700 calories a day. I just today probably touched 1,000, knowing that the Canadian government we're not going to be in contact, so try to get some extra food and some extra fat on these bones. I'm going to actually strip off, and I'm going to do that now, and then put my clothes back on. And I'm going to do it each day, so that I don't worry about the humiliation. The humiliation is I've gone to the limits on the humiliation. There's nothing that can harm me now at this stage. The whole process has been dreadful. But for people that have the audacity to think that I'm not on hunger strike, this is going to be horrific over the next 7 days. Knowing what happens to the body. So when you eat, I have trouble with my shoulders now, but when you eat a little bit of calories, you can maintain what you can maintain obviously some of your stability, but I'm not too bad, and like I get pain. It's normal. Serotonin is limited, which controls the painkillers within your body naturally. So I'll put my after that bit of humiliation, I'll put that clothes back on. But I'm going to do that each day so that we can see what happens here. Now, for you people out there, and it's basically the enemies, or the people that are unscrupulous because they have a vested interest in falsifying what this is all about, that say that this is mental instability, then you need to be able to reconcile how I can write like I write, how I'm able to come in front of the camera in an articulate way, in an intelligent way, have a perspective that I think is progressive in how we need to deal with this issue. Enough said. I don't need to justify it anymore. And on that note, though, for you people that try to scapegoat me on that, this is mental illness. No, this is hunger strike protest, and a total starvation one now, in order to fight a cause for my own justice, but in order that other people don't have to go through this appalling system of dealing with people that have a bona fide mental health disorder, substance use disorders. Again, please read the letter to the Prime Minister. I think it encapsulates the last 8 years perfectly. And I'm very proud of what I've written there. I'm disappointed the government haven't been in contact, but it's extraordinary. I'm going to refer to some notes that I've made, and also a board down here, because I need to thank some people. So it's been 15 days now. I'm not going to eat except for well, it's not eating, it's broth. It's like 10 calories for a big pint of broth. That gives you sodium. It allows you to still keep your eyes open, and then when it gets really painful, I will take bits and pieces of a slice of bread, because I've been through this process before now, and it's I'm kind of familiar in some way. I just want to mention Ray Hudson, so that if Ray, you're watching the first few minutes here, I'm going to talk about you as we go, so please hang in there. I'm also, over the next few days, going to upload some photographs of my dog, Max, that I haven't seen. I've seen him once in 5 months, 6 months, ever since I did the first hunger strike back in November of last year. He's such a brilliant dog. I've had him since he was 12 weeks when I actually came open in 2012. And when you see the photographs, you'll see exactly what he's like, and he's an amazing dog. But he's so in touch with the emotions of people, particularly his master and Ashley, that I couldn't have him around. I couldn't have him around me going through this process. I knew what I was going to be doing. My partner Ashley, and we separated now because she didn't want to go through this. She told me 2 years ago, she asked, like, what are you going to do? What are we going to do? This is so corrupt in the way that the system is working. And the legal system, it's dreadful. But anyway, I said I'm going to hunger strike. And so when we got to that point with something I'll talk about in the next few days, then we decided to to separate, and so she lives with Max. I couldn't be around him, and he would be devastated if he was, and he would see. We're going to videotape me going to see him, hopefully on Monday, and see his reaction there, and I'm looking forward to it. But again, this is a death row, an innocent person on death row, if you like, because I'm not backing out. You're just speaking to the government and any politician that is tuning in here. Why should I back out now when I have? And when you read my story and you go through it, you think I'm going to back down. I'm not backing down. So this is going to be an indictment of Canadian society and how it's one thing to not pay a demand to a terrorist, which I would have paid it, and I would have paid it again, and I would have paid it again, because all Canadian lives matter. If the Prime Minister was your son or your daughter, would you make the same decision? And I know that's harsh for me to say that, because there's a lot of political variables, but this was the Philippines. You treat every situation differently. I asked you in that letter the moral dilemma that you have. So the moral dilemma that you have now as a country is that, do you let Paul James die because we don't want other people to do hunger strike protests? Well, I've got news for you, is that there's not many people would ever be able to do this. In the lengths that I've gone to, right to the Supreme Court, and everybody that would go as far as I've gone have something of such great conviction that needs to be addressed. And so that's food for thought on that, and it's going to be horrific. I just know it, and I'm not looking forward to it. I don't want to do it. I want to live, but I will go as far as I need to go to address this injustice, and to address what needs to be better in society. Enough is enough. We're 2017. To draft some intellect into my corner, I will draft Christopher Hitchens, who passed away in 2011, but no greater intellect than Christopher Hitchens. He said in 1996 that decriminalization will happen in the next 10 years. Well, it's 2017, and it hasn't happened. But as he said, when it does, we will look back and wonder what all the fuss was about. And it's absolutely right. I'm in my situation because of appalling behaviour and actions of York University, because of a segment of the Canadian soccer media that assassinated me when I came open for their own purposes, and then a societal approach that's antiquated, it's illiterate, and it's abusive. And I've experienced that now over the last 8 years, and I'm addressing it. And if I back down, then I'm left with this: nothing. And I've lost my career. I spent a lifetime developing. I've been slandered, defamed. I've had the injustice against York University. Those decision rationales that are corrupt have actually been used against me in another case against Mordell, where I received a text message, note to self, never hire a crackhead, and then didn't get hired 2 years later when the guy apologized because of what I write in the letter. It's absolutely disgusting. And that incident, by the way, is when I just said enough is enough, I'm going to hunger strike. When I tried to resolve that, and it didn't get resolved. I might be scattered in where I'm going here, but I'm going to let you know that over the next week of going through this, I'm going to talk through the story of when I was at York, what happened, what self-stigma is, how we need to be better. And by the way, in terms of being better, Heather Stewart from Bell Canada, Let's Talk Chair, I appreciate some of the stuff that you've done for me over the past little while, but how dare you deal with a supporter of mine, Kevin Turney, in the way that you dealt with him through email. Yes, you've helped me to a certain extent, but not like Clara Hughes, not like Michael Landsberg. And Michael Landsberg, by the way, I contacted in 2012 about 12 times with the people from the National Speakers Bureau, never returned one call. What makes Michael Landsberg different to myself, or even Clara Hughes. And I totally respect both people, fantastic professional backgrounds, but they've never had to deal with discrimination and stigma along the lines that they've lost employment. This is a whole different level. So Heather, I appreciate the fact that you've done some things. You wrote a letter for me for the Human Rights Tribunal, but you know as well as I know that when you say that record something for posterity, that's going to be for you, for posterity, so that you can learn from my passing, from my death. I would say the person that contacts you, Kevin Turney, is a bulldog fighting for my life. This is not a gimmick. This is not playing chicken. This is receiving justice. And if I do pass away as a result of this, and even have to spend another day of going through it, Heather, then the $100 million that Bell Canada have invested in Let's Talk has been a waste. Because how can we let a person with this? I've done no harm to anybody, as I say and I write. Anyway, move on from that because I want to get through it. The silence is deafening. The silence is deafening. This is where Ray Hudson comes in, because Ray Hudson was a former player for the Fort Lauderdale Strikers old NASL. Ray, absolutely brilliant player you were, and I was a younger guy playing for the Toronto Blizzard, sitting on the bench, Lockhart Stadium down in Fort Lauderdale, and I just, like, the atmosphere there was like fantastic. The heat, when it rained, all the frogs came on the field. I always remember that because I was sitting on the bench and I could see them. But you were a brilliant player, absolutely brilliant. And the only thing that's better than that is your commentary on TV. Anybody that doesn't know Ray Hudson, go onto YouTube, Gold TV, Ray Hudson. Listen to the way the guy commentates, groundbreaking. The fact, Ray, that you've are following me now and trying to promote my circumstance is, I mean, I'm so proud of that. I just can't believe it. I'm just so excited. I don't know what else to say outside thank you. But it shines a light, though. Silence is deafening, which is a term that Sharon Bierpark, Dr. Sharon Bierpark, who's been a fantastic supporter of mine, along with Mark Purdy and Tom Van Heusen, Pedro Musabek, Kevin Turney, John Bidovich, fantastic people. Those are people with guts and courage that actually defend Heather Stewart, what it is to stick by somebody, to almost put their own lives at stake. Don't care about their image and reputation. They care about me, which I appreciate. But Sharon Bierpark said silence is deafening, and it is. The government, your silence is deafening. It's also killing. I'm an innocent man on death row as of tonight, and it's like the last 8 years I've tried. I was never going to let go, and I've kept going. I've gone to the Supreme Court, self-represented applicants, taken a pounding in the media. Through the National Post, then people used the thing. I got treated brutally by the Human Rights Tribunal. And as Tony Waiter said, and this is for the government, this is for the Minister of Justice, is that it's criminal. It's a criminal injustice that's gone on. The collusion that's gone on, including the soccer media, is appalling. I can't believe I'm living through it, but I'm living through it and fighting for the people that are in supermarkets, that work at Loblaws, that might have a substance dependency to heroin or to cocaine or to marijuana. I'm fighting for the homemaker that has a mental health issue and a substance intertwined with a substance problem, that can't go out and fight for the rights and for their so that they don't get prejudiced and discriminated against and abused, because I have some kind of profile. And I have the character and determination to do it. So those are the byproducts of it. The fact that we go down to the States, I have to go to the States, and to recruit somebody to, and I haven't recruited you, Ray Hudson, it was somebody else that put it, but it's like that, to be supportive, and to come out, you've come out with more statements that have been positive than anyone up here, publicly in the media. I have some great friends in the media, and I know the politics here in Canada, the bad politics is horrendous. But anyway, that's, I'll talk about the soccer media just in a bit, but the Liberal government haven't got back in contact, and so I just want to expose something. Rick Waugh is the chair of the Board of Governors of York University. Rick Waugh, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, is also heads a committee, one of your committees, as part of the Liberal government. So if your decisions not to assist and help and intervene as you should, then I think it's important, based on your platform talks about transparency, the fact that Canadian society is riddled with bad politics, which it for sure is, whether it's KMH, whether it's Canadian Soccer Association, whether it's the Canadian soccer industry, judicial system, York University, academic institutions, how we go about our business up here is horrendous. It all appears in my case here. But, okay, so Rick Waugh, there's a potential conflict of interest there. In fact, I would say more than potential, it's huge. Lorna Marsden, past president of York University. I have tremendous respect for Lorna Marsden, and she was the only one that reached out and sent me a thank you note for the contributions I'd made to York University. She didn't know about my circumstance. I talked to her in 2011. She didn't realize I was self-stigmatized. I was hoping that she would do with that information I gave her the right thing, to go to York and do it. Harriet Lewis turned out that made poor choices. Sheila Forshaw from Sport York and Jen Myers avoided meeting, and then I eventually came out open. I didn't ever want to come out open. Anybody that turns around and says, well, you went and wrote a book, what absolute nonsense. What's that got to do with discrimination and the way that you've been treated? What's that got to do with being fired at Gold TV when you come back from rehab within 2 weeks? That didn't happen to Paul Merson, it didn't happen to, you know, people in other countries get helped and assisted. I got assassinated. What's that got to do with the discrimination I experienced at York University? I came open because I had no choice. In the way my DNA works, in terms of confronting it, in terms of saying, no, I don't accept this and what you're doing. Only then did I understand that I actually had some legal rights. But that's for another time. The Liberal government, I'm assuming, if it's not bad politics, and that you're not coordinated with Rick Waugh, who, by the way, Rick Waugh, you have a fantastic background, like, it's brilliant, but how can you be heading Schulich Business School, renowned on a global basis, when you talk about social responsibility? What do you teach your students? Do you teach your students that in areas where you've made a mistake as an organization, that your modus operandi is to at all costs not take responsibility, and at all costs, if it's on a mental health issue, that we will promote and invest money into promote that we actually care about mental health, and we won't care about this one person, we don't care if he dies. Because that's the situation, this is the moral dilemma, Justin Trudeau, the Honourable Justin Trudeau, and the government, and the other parties. This is the moral dilemma you have now. You made that decision with the terrorist, okay, fair enough. I would have done something differently. But in this now, what do you do now? And it appears that the fact that all I asked for to prevent me going on to this final hunger strike was a meeting with the Board of Governors, and you got turned down. How do you justify that, Rick Waugh, to the Prime Minister, when knowing all the information that I'm now providing in a transparency way to the public? Some thank yous here I want to say, and then I'm going to get out of this. It's an unbelievable thank you to Tony Waiters, the legend as a coach, our best coach for our national programs and men's team, qualified the team in 1986 and 1984 for the Olympics. Tony, your letter was, when you have a letter from a person of that status and with what you wrote, it's brilliant. Bob Lenarduzzi, Phil Wilson, Sharon Bierpark, Sonia Henry, and there's George Bello with the video that you've done, and then many other people, but those in particular. And Bob Lenarduzzi, I appreciate and respect, as you know, that we've had our ups and downs in a very competitive soccer world and soccer landscape, and with few opportunities, people have to be protected. I get that, but I've always known you had a conscience, and I've always known that there's humanity in you, and I really respect how you've dealt with our situation, that we've moved on, and I actually asked the rest of the media, the soccer media, the silence, because usually how you get scapegoated, right? James Sharman's a great guy, and actually a great soccer analyst, best host in my opinion in Canada, probably North America. But James, how do you justify never being in touch? You're a great guy. I've never had a problem with you. What happened at the score when you came out with Joe Ross and Richard Whittle, Jason DeVos, Christian Jack, John Molinaro, and then those two idiots, Bill and Ben, the Flower Pot Men, Gregory Young, who played one time for Canada, Gregory Young, I played in that same game. Do you remember those two mistakes you made, did you, against China, and then calling me a CUNT because you're attached with David Norman? What you guys did, and Ben Massey, you know what you've written on Twitter, I'm assuming. Just to let you know that I've put that part of the public record, what you did. Because that's what happens. That would be like, let's say if we go back a generation, that's for like calling somebody the N-word or the Q-word, queer, if you're gay, and doing it relentlessly and ruthlessly. In a generation's time, you will be so ostracized yourself as a result of doing that. But that group of people that I've just mentioned, you have colluded and contributed to my circumstance with what you did. Richard Whittle turning around and saying in your assessment that I've burnt bridges wherever I've gone in the Canadian Meeting, Canadian Soccer Association. Wrong. No, other people burnt bridges, including you. That's exactly what you did there. I've been as professional and handled myself when I left the Canadian Soccer Association, got the resignation letters. Same with the score. When I was there, Greg Santoni called me. Loved Greg Santoni, brilliant. And he was very apologetic about the fact that there was no work anymore for the score. I sent a letter and dealt with myself properly. That's Christian Jack, who has caused that. You know, when you're a coach, and you're in the real hard, solid trenches, and you're digging your way out because you're coaching a team with not many resources. And when you're successful over 25 years, you can ferret out Machiavellian behavior. Yeah, I don't get on with some people. I don't get on with Machiavellian people, bad political people. You guys took advantage of that. And I'm offering you to turn around and now to begin to follow my story in a positive way and start to write it and see how riveting and how compelling it is, so that you can actually contribute to me receiving justice, so you can contribute to making Canadian soccer better, because we're riddled with politics, bad politics. It's why we underperform on the men's side. It's why John Herdman has done such a fantastic job with the women's team, because he sees it. He brought in his own people, and whether there's more qualified people or not, John was smart, so he gets rid of that element. And I'm saying to you guys, John Molinaro, because if you don't, then you're going to feel my wrath at some point. I want to move on, but I don't accept what you guys did, including David Norman. And you all kind of threaded yourself through TSN. It's very interesting. I won't throw Terry Dunfield in the mix right now for that, but I'm saying you need to do that. And so Ray Hudson, absolutely brilliant. How can we get and be proud in Canada to have assassinated him? That's why you're silent. That's why you're quiet. James Sharman, my God, what's the matter with you? You haven't been in contact, and it's not in you. You feel guilty. That's the other side of scapegoating. You see, scapegoating can be like what York do. Like York turn around and say, my behavior here with going on a social protest through hunger striking is mental illness. They've leveraged brutally. Everything that we talk about with Bell Canada has been brutalized by what York of the University have said. You, James, and others, in terms of keeping your silence, are scapegoating me because you don't ever get in contact. And I'm shocked that we haven't picked this up. If I was a hockey player, NHL player from Canada, or if I was a baseball player, first of all, it would have got resolved by the association. Canadian Soccer Association hasn't resolved it, and they become complicit with York University. It's disgusting. A guy's going to lose his life. Let's do the math. I'm 53 years of age. I've lost everything. You know, Richard Whittle, when I applied for jobs, people say, no, you burnt bridges. I even went to see my doctor that originally gave me a diagnosis, and I was telling him my situation. He goes, yes, but you burnt bridges. It's like disgusting. And then those two bloggers, Bill and Ben, the Flower Pot Men, your blogs were used by BLG, Borden Ladner and Gervais, against me to display my character. And what you wrote in those blogs was disgusting. And if I had the resources, or I had the mental acuity to take on another case, I would have come after you, and I still can. But again, I say I need to move on, and Bob Lenarduzzi is a shining example of that. That includes you, Jason DeVos, too. How dare you react, but in the way that you do. You forget the emails I have from you, Jason DeVos. I don't want to fight anymore. I'm exhausted. I'm 53 years of age. Do the math. If you've been a cocaine substance dependent for a number of years, especially at the diagnostic level which I'm at, and I've been honest, I've been transparent about that in a good way, which means you should be actually treated with more respect, but as soon as you jump on that line to be diagnosed, your life changes forever. Now you become an addict, which is a terrible label. I wrote it in my book because I self-stigmatized myself. In that book, the person I brutalized the most was myself. But yeah, Jason DeBosch, you need to be smart here in how you just handle yourself. I don't want to fight anymore. Okay, so as I was saying, 53 years of age, diagnostic for 10 years, used for 15 years. That equates to taking 10 to 20 years off my life. So let's say I lived to 85 because I'm fit and I was like healthy under normal circumstances. Well, let's take 10 away from that. That's down to 75. Let's take another 10 of real time when you can be really productive, and I'm 53 and I have nothing. That's the damage that, and you know, you can't scapegoat and pin it on the health issue. It's a bona fide health issue that if we deal with it properly, you live with the disability, but a normal life, we're able to be productive. You guys made sure that didn't happen. That's where I say to Ray Hudson, I appreciate your help and I appreciate your support, and don't listen to any nonsense from some people up here if ever you were to converse with them. You're a great guy and an intelligent guy to be able to do it. You other guys, again, help me out, write something, do your research, use that PhD education, Richard Whittle, and start writing something positive that can help Canadian citizens across the coast. You know, Voyagers, not all the Voyagers people are bad people, a lot of them are great, but you know what you've done. And if, again, it's a criminal justice matter. And why do you think I've written in that letter about going to the Sports Minister and the Canadian Soccer Association? Shame on you. You know, that would never happen in England, it would never happen in France, it would never happen in Italy, and it would never happen with our hockey associations. Okay, I've been on a bit of a roll. I'm nervous about this because I know what the pain is coming, but that's it. I'm out, and I'm hoping the government and York University do the right thing, and you do the right thing quickly. Bye.